Well, I think the music got us started off in the right way. We are ready to let it ride. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you are well. I hope you've got a really great spirit as we drive so many pieces of alumni support, influence, strength, and impact. Good morning, everybody. My name is Allyson Reaves. I'm the founder of the Black Alumni Collective. I'm also on the board, and I cannot get started without giving a wonderful thanks to our board members who are joining us on today's symposium, and you'll see them in Charleston. And I also want to give a really huge thanks to our three phenomenal co-chairs who you will hear from shortly. That'll be Randy Grimes from the University of South Carolina. Hey, Randy. That'll be Wayne Black from the Citadel. Wayne, good morning.
Good morning.
Canisha Fletcher from the College of Charleston. Hey, Canisha.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. So before I turn it over to our incredible co-chairs, I do want to share a little bit of the history of the Black Alumni Collective. Now, I can't see all of your faces, but if you want to put it in the chat, if you've attended a Black Alumni collective event in the past, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to drop that in the chat. This work got started, really as a result of Black alumni getting together in Atlanta, Georgia. We had a lot of really fun game watch parties. Randy, you were a part of some incredible work with the University of South Carolina Black Alumni Council. Ollie Moore, who led some really phenomenal fellowship work on behalf of the Florida State University Black alumni. And of course, here in Atlanta, Georgia, Jeannie Kearney led some incredible work with the Georgia Tech Black Alumni Organization. And so right now, I do just kind of want to get into just some quick ideas of what this work has looked like in the past. Give me one quick second and I'll share my screen. Can you all see my screen? Thumbs up, hands up? Yes, perfect. So again, my name is Allyson Reaves, going to take you through a quick journey. This work got formally started back in 2019, and it was when Georgia Tech hosted us on their incredible campus. And many thanks again to Jeannie and her team for hosting what was about 75 people for our very first convening. At that convening, family, we asked everyone, are you willing to support this work? And is this work necessary in terms of the work we're aiming to do with our alma maters, universities, and colleges? We got a resounding yes. And so about maybe 10 schools decided to formalize this work. We've had some significant impact from the University of South Carolina, the University of Alabama, Duke University, Florida State University, among others. So after 2019, we decided to become a nonprofit organization, got our board together, and then we put pen to paper. In 2020, just before COVID hit, we were supported by Ollie Moore and Shari Williams. If you're on the call, a big hello to you. They were the architects behind our second annual national conference. A huge thanks to the entire body of Florida State University Black alumni, Florida State University, and of course, university leadership. Now, this was the first time we had multiple days added to our conference, and it was phenomenal. And then, of course, I think you all know COVID hit. So what did we do? We went online. A huge thanks to Gordon Fletcher and Bruce Alexander, who were our co-chairs for our third annual convening, which was formally hosted by American University Black Alumni Alliance. Shout out to Qui Juan. I think I saw your name on our chat and in our space today. So many thanks, Qui Juan, for your work. And a very special shout out to Gordon Fletcher and the team. Also, Kathy Russell, who was a really prominent part of bringing that particular retreat together. This was the first time that we tried to convene people online, and family, we brought together more than 300 people for what was a 3-day online conference. So it was a real accomplishment. We're very, very privileged and honored to have done that. Fast forward, I think I saw a lot of you at Duke University last year. Shout out to Tadina and Tadina Simpson and Sanders Adu, who were our incredible chairs for the fourth annual convening. And we also want to say this was the first time we brought in honorary co-chairs. And so we want to give a special thanks to Derek Penn and Lisa Borders, who are both trustees at Duke University. They were just really supportive in helping move our conference planning forward, and they left behind some incredible influences and calls to action. So we really do appreciate the influence of Derek and Lisa. If you're on our call this morning, thank you so much for all that you have done and continue to do. And here we are at 2023. This is our 5th annual convening, and we are steadily getting better and better with each year. A big shout out to CA4, the Citadel African American Alumni Association, the College of Charleston Black Alumni Council, and the University of South Carolina Black Alumni Council. And now that I've given a quick overview of our history, I do want to turn it over to our co-chairs, who are going to offer just a slight overview of what you are, what's in store for today. So I'm going to turn it over first to Wayne. He's going to give some comments, and then he'll pivot to Canisha, and then she'll turn it on over to Randy. Thanks so much, everybody, and I hope you enjoy the day.
Oh, thanks, Allyson. You said that the music got us started, but I think your energy, your excitement just kind of permeates the whole network today. So it's hard to follow you. So I'll just do my best. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Wayne Black, and I'm a 1984 graduate of the Citadel. I'm currently serving as the co-host for this virtual conference and the upcoming Black Alumni Association, Black Alumni Collective Symposium coming up next month. I currently serve as the vice president of the Citadel African American Alumni Association, or as you heard Allyson say, CA4 as we're commonly called. First of all, I just want to thank you for your participation today. I'm very excited, and I look forward to our engagement today. We have a well planned out agenda. It's going to cover a number of different topics, and we welcome your active participation in the dialogue. And you can do that through the chat function. The intent and purpose is for each of us to learn from each other and to share ideas and experiences. And you'll note that each of the universities that are co-hosting our institutions also support the work that the Black Alumni Collective is doing as far as promoting inclusion, recruitment, philanthropy, scholarships, community service, leadership, and just the number of different things. And you'll find a lot of that information on the collective website. But our goal is to leave this space today that we take a little tidbit of information that we can use in our respective Black Alumni Associations. Today's conference is just a precursor to the in-person conference that's coming up next month, which is scheduled for 9 through 12 of March. And I hope to see each one of you there. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Canisha Fletcher, another of our co-hosts. So Canisha, you're on.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, as you see, my background is a little different. This is my second device this morning. We had lots of technical glitches. And so but doesn't matter because the whole point is for us to be online together, learning and growing. I am a 1995 graduate of the College of Charleston. I started my journey at Clemson University in 1991, but just needed to transfer to a smaller little institution. I currently serve as the treasurer for our College of Charleston Black Alumni Council. I am also the senior advisor for the Columbia Club of the College of Charleston Association. And I'm a mentor with our 1967 Legacy Program, which you will learn more about when you come to the conference in Charleston. As Wayne and Allyson both mentioned, we have some very engaging, uplifting, insightful sessions planned for today. A conversation with our university presidents, a conversation with current Black students, information and ways that we can take action with social justice, and strategies and tools to help us with racial healing. We are excited that you decided to join us today. Please make sure you have pen, paper, computer, however you take notes, because you will have a lot of notes to take and to be able to take some action back to your university. At this time, Randy, thank you so very much.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Randy Grimes, and I'm a 1985 graduate of the University of South Carolina. I'm so excited to be here this morning and looking forward to our gathering in Charleston in a couple of weeks. I'm the past chair for the Black Alumni Council at the University of South Carolina. In addition, I am a board member for the Black Alumni Collective. It's a pleasure to serve as one of your co-hosts for the virtual conference, and again, have the University of South Carolina provide the technical support. I'm very thankful today for your attendance and participation. I'm excited to learn and share with you. As Canisha, Wayne, and Allyson mentioned, we have many sessions that are geared to enhance and help us collaborate on best practices that are going to make our experience for our students at our respective institutions the best that it can be. Our agenda is designed today to engage you and be very impactful. So there's something for everyone. And I will just give you a little hint. The student pre-recorded session is going to be very impactful because we're going to hear it from our current students exactly what they need from us in order to be successful. My sincere desire is that we leave the space with a renewed commitment for excellence. I look forward to our conversation today and our collaboration in Charleston in March. So let's get started. We want to begin with a conversation among university presidents. We value our relationships with our respective universities and with the university presidents. We realize that we have to work together collaboratively in order to get the work done. We share common goals and objectives, which include just creating an optimal learning environment for all students. And we want to engage our Black alumni to be able to help with that cause. Our conversation today, which was pre-recorded, will be moderated by Bruce Alexander from the Citadel African American Alumni Association. And our panelists of presidents will include Dr. Valerie Sheares Ashby, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, Dr. Andrew Shue, the College of Charleston, and General Glenn Walters, the Citadel. Following the pre-recorded session will be a post-video discussion with panelists Bruce Alexander, Wayne Black, Tony DeWitt, Sharon Stroye, and Lisa Williams.
Hello, and welcome to our Black Alumni Collective Leadership Symposium 2023, being held for all the several hundreds of alumni participating in this virtual Zoom presentation right now, along with the 150 senior African-American alumni members that will represent their college and university and their Black alumni chapters at the in-person symposium in Charleston, South Carolina, this upcoming March of 2023. My name is Bruce Alexander, and I'm the former and founding president of the Citadel African American Alumni Association, and I will serve as your moderator for today's conversation among university presidents. Thank you so much for joining us today. The goal and intent of this panel is to create a space for dialogue between university and college presidents and African American alumni, with aspirations of fostering an ongoing relationship between university and campus administrations and African American alumni to maintain a strong relationship of mutual respect and understanding. At this time, it is my honor to introduce our distinguished panel members. Our co-host college president is from the College of Charleston. Dr. Andrew Shue is the 23rd president of the College of Charleston, the oldest institution of higher education in South Carolina, and the 13th oldest in the nation. As the president of the College of Charleston, he introduced a new 10-year strategic plan called Tradition and Transformation. The plan is multifaceted, but a cross-cutting theme uniting all the efforts is a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our next co-host, college president from the Citadel, Military College of South Carolina, is Glenn M. Walters, United States Marine Corps, General, retired. The Citadel class of 1979, he returned to his alma mater as the president after serving 39 years as an officer in the Marines. Prior to becoming the president of the Citadel in 2018, he served as the 34th Assistant Commandant of the Marine Corps, the Corps' second highest ranking officer. Our next distinguished panelist is the most recent president selected to serve as the University of Maryland, Baltimore County in August of 2022, Dr. Valerie Sheares Ashby. She is the first woman to serve in this role. Dr. Sheares Ashby previously served as Dean of the Duke University Trinity College of Arts and Sciences. In this role, since 2015, she led a 700-person faculty spanning nearly 40 departments and programs in rethinking what it means to deliver a world-class liberal arts education while navigating a pandemic and consistently promoting diversity and inclusion as a means of achieving excellence in both teaching and research. And with that, you can see we have an extremely accomplished panel. We're going to jump right into our questions for the panel so that they can give you thoughts that are on their minds and hopefully impart something that you can take back to your respective schools and have a conversation with your own respective presidents. Our focus today is on four different areas. We're going to talk about mentoring. We're going to talk about recruiting and retention. We're going to talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we'll talk about scholarships and philanthropy. Joan Walters, the first question. Why do you consider an African-American alumni mentorship program so important?
Well, thanks, and good to see you again. I think a mentorship program is essential across the board, but particularly for our African-American alumni, because they know what we do down here. They've been a graduate here. They'll identify, and I think our alumni, second to none, by identifying a young man or woman that wants to come down here, getting them to understand what it's about, how we are, what we are as a military, but also I think they're committed to at least 2 hours a week of mentorship with each individual. That's a club rule. But they'll also mentor them through their entire freshman year and through their entire cadet career. And that relationship doesn't end when they graduate. They also become mentors for them for the rest of their life in business and in the military if they go in there. So I think mentorship really breeds success here and in life. And that's what's so critical to our African American Alumni Association mentorship program.
Thank you very much, General. Dr. Sheares Ashby, what characteristics would you consider to be good representatives of alumni returning as mentors?
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity to be on the panel and to share with our Black alums. Let me say that I would first, I've seen some wonderful examples of alumni mentors, and I think they're pretty much the same characteristics I would love to see in any mentor. We certainly look for folks who are committed to our present students having at least as good of an experience as they have had, and willing to open doors that have been opened for them, doing what has been done for them, for these other young people. We also are really committed to having mentors who, quite frankly, don't try to make the young people into themselves, but try to help them to be the best version of of the student, like whatever the student wants, how do we help them achieve their goals as opposed to, trying to force them into something that we want them to become. And what we have on our campus is a number of alums who cherish the experience they've had, appreciate the fact that their experience here has opened doors for them that they couldn't have imagined. And I'm always looking for alums who are willing to open those same doors and, share with our students in a way that students are able to imagine for themselves things that they would not have imagined were possible without the alumni mentorship. So those are some of the characteristics that we look for in our folks. And we already have commitment that is already evident in our alums. And so that's what we're looking for, people who really want to continue to see present students have at least the same opportunities and experiences that they have had.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dr. Shue, how do you promote participation in your student alumni mentoring program?
Thank you, Bruce. First of all, Bruce, it is great to be here with you and talk to you about ways to better engage our Black alumni in the lives of our university and our students. Speaking on behalf of the College of Charleston, I'm very pleased to share that we have a very involved Black Alumni Council that works closely with the college and within our larger College of Charleston community. In fact, we have established several mentoring programs. For example, one is a 1967 scholars program. 1967, of course, is the year that the College of Charleston integrated, and we celebrated that with an endowment for scholarships for our best and brightest Black students. And we have mentors where we found mentors among industry leaders around the country to mentor these group of students. We have more than 70 volunteers over the past year. More than half participated in training. We try to give them training to talk about how to be an effective mentor to a college students. There's always the generational divide, and I think it's no different in any minority group. So we try to train our mentors and discuss with them how to best advise today's students. And we, for example, have a Launchpad program where we have Black alumni come and talk to our students on a regular basis about what kind of disciplines are our students trying to pursue, and what type of career path that might lead to, and so forth. So I think the personal interaction is the most important to the mentor and mentee relationship. That's why we try our best to make sure that every student who is in our Launchpad program has an alumni who are serving as their mentor. So there's a one-to-one relationship.
Excellent, excellent. Joe Walters, share with us how you work to create an inclusive campus.
Thanks, Bruce. Number one, I think it starts with the uniqueness on our campus, and that is we get cadets from 47 states coming in here. They all come with their own differences, and we have to get through that. We have in our strategic plan to achieve an inclusive environment here, and I have an inclusive excellence officer who reports directly to me on how we do that. Some of it is through programs, but it's also leveraging the last of our core values, which is respect, and teaching them. And you can leverage the military, and you can view it as how you would coach a sports team. The team's not good unless everybody's performing well. You can't perform well if someone doesn't feel good about being there or thinks they're not getting treated right. So that inclusive environment is critical in the military, and we've done lots of work over the last 70 years in the U.S. military trying to make an inclusive environment where performance counts, nothing else does. So to do it here, we have things called Sit Listen, where we introduce people who might not have come from the same backgrounds or states or locations to talk to each other and explain who they are, why they're here. And those Sit Listen things give them a common picture, I guess, against our core values, but it really gets to the last point, which is understanding we're all different, and then we celebrate that difference.
Thank you very much. Dr. Shue, what can African American alumni do to support your school's recruiting effort?
So, certainly helping us recruit more Black students to help us increase our diversity is the best way that our alumni can help us. And as General Walters mentioned, for us, the best way to recruit more students is through word of mouth, through our Black alumni talk to potential students and describe what a wonderful experience they've had here, or even warn them of some of the pitfalls when they come to campus. But we have a alumni referral program, and for those prospective students who come in through these referral efforts, we waive the admissions application fee in order to simplify the process and eliminate any barriers to students with high interest. So fortunately, we do have a high number of Black alumni who participate in this program and also work in their various home communities with their local guidance counselors. And we indeed recruit a very large number of our Black students through that referral process.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Sheares Ashby, philanthropy is important to colleges and universities in that they provide access to disadvantaged groups such as African Americans and low-income students to that opportunity to attend college. What specifically would you like to see, and what can your African American alumni do at your institution to assist in this endeavor?
I so appreciate this question because philanthropy is directly tied typically to wealth. And when you think about the wealth gaps in this country based on race, automatically on most campuses, you do not have a number of African American alums who are wealthy. That's just a fact. That is history. No matter how successful they may have been, they do not have generational wealth. And so for us, it is really important to ensure that our African American alums know that everything that they give is important. Not just the 8-figure gift or the 6-figure gift. It is everything that they give. It is a mindset of philanthropy where we have to understand that wealth does not actually permeate this particular group of folks. That it is rare to find wealth in the ways that majority colleagues or alums have to contribute. But we can't let that wealth disparity create a disparity of access to the institution, or can't make our African American alumni feel like what they give is any less than what anybody else can give. Now, certainly for my African American alums who can write me the $1 million check, I'll take it. But I want my African American alums who can write the $1,000 check to know that that's equally as important to helping a kid perhaps purchase books or a computer or just necessities for some of my first-gen students who may have economic challenges, or students who live in a food desert. There are contributions that our African American alums can make, and I just want to ensure that the word philanthropy doesn't actually cause people to step back and say, oh, wait, I can't give it at the $1 million level, so I'm not a philanthropist. Yes, you are. Anything that you can give to support a young person makes you a philanthropist. And we have to start there while we catch up in generational wealth.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our question and answer session and our panel for the conversation with university presidents. I'd like to thank our distinguished panel for their time, candor, and spirited responses geared to provide each of us food for thought that we can take back to our respective campuses and organizations. We encourage each of you and your alumni organizations to open an ongoing dialogue with each of your university presidents. Together, you will move your alumni and alma mater relationships light years into the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much to everyone who was such a major part of bringing together university leadership. I'm going to now ask a few of us who are on the webinar to show your screen so we can engage in a conversation around what it looks like for Black alumni associations to collaborate with the Office of University Presidents. So Randy, Tony, Qui Juan, Nisa, if you're able to show your screens, that would be fantastic. And we'll go ahead and take ourselves off mute so we can go ahead and start the conversation. So again, we're looking at our incredible leaders from various schools across the country who are able to give us a very unique perspective. Sharon, who is joining us from the Rutgers African American Alliance, Incorporated in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Shout out to you for being the 2024 host and for leading the great charge with all of that work that you've been leading. Tony, again, I repeat my incredible gratitude and thanks to you for leading our work in 2023. I think Nisa is on as well. We want to thank her on behalf of her work at the College of Charleston. Nisa, if you can show your screen, that would be awesome. Qui Juan, want to thank you for all the great work you led at American University when American University Black Alumni Alliance was our host. And so now we're just going to get right into it, right? So I want to start with Tony, and then we'll pivot to others around the room. Tony, I want to ask you, what was required, for CA4 to initiate a really productive and helpful relationship with the Office of the President at the Citadel?
The first thing was we had to energize ourselves. We had to come together as a group of alums who did not particularly want to come back to the Citadel for various reasons. And so once we got together and energized ourselves to become a group, a formal group, we began to build relationships with the then current president and his administration, explaining and demonstrating the value of the Black alum to the Citadel. And that's the key, the relationship. Through that relationship, we developed relationships not only with the president, but with the provost, with the Commandant of Cadets, and other senior leaders on the campus. So I think that's very, very important.
And Qui Juan, can you tell us a little bit about your perspective around bridging that relationship with university leadership?
Absolutely. Thanks for having us. I think it was important for us. Our Black Alumni Alliance has been established for just about 10 years now at AU. And over those past 10 years, there's definitely been a greater need for that alumni involvement, just due to the blatant racial incidents that have been going on AU's campus. So really making sure that we're advocating for the students and amplifying their voices through doing our due diligence with our from an alumni standpoint, and making sure that the alumni leaders, presidents, et cetera, are all aware and involved on the issues and taking the right actions to rectify. So just making sure that we're really being advocates and supporters of the current students on campus. So we saw that need, and then we love connecting with the Black Alumni Collective because we learned so much and we're able to pour that back into our university, just from sharing best practices, et cetera. So.
And it's funny because Tony, I've had a chance to kind of glance at the relationship, between CA4 and General Glenn Walters. And what was really key for me is that the president went to school, right? And was in the class with a lot of the leaders of CA4. And so there's also that personal relationship. And so Tony, I'm really glad that you highlighted that. Qui Juan, thank you for highlighting accountability and what it looks like for a university president to be, you know, inherently engaged in, you know, all of the critical issues that happen both on campus and beyond, and in fact in the world. And so American University has always been really, really influential in that way. So thank you for that, Qui Juan. Want to pivot next to Sharon and then Nisa, who can give us an idea of what that looks like on your campuses. Sharon?
So good morning, all. First, just want to thank the Black Alumni Collective representing Rutgers African American Alliance and a brand new partner to the Black Alumni Collective. Really excited about the work. So speaking on behalf of RAAA, understanding Rutgers is the state school in New Jersey, and it is a system that is located in 3 different locations. But the RAAA, which is what we call it, was formed in 1989, incorporated in 2006. And so they have definitely been leading the way in supporting students. I think that's what really made the difference with the president's office, as we do have the first African-American president currently in office now. But RAAA has been raising money for scholarships, being a voice with Black faculty, especially the African-American Studies Department on campus. So there was already a history of collaboration between RAAA and the institution, but now since 2000, since the new president has been on board, it has been really integral to the relationship. And our current president finds value in what RAAA has done, what it continues to do, and also support some of the biggest initiatives on campus, establishing the Paul Robeson Plaza, where it is a space for alumni and future students to see the history of our campus and institution, whereas the president's office was strategically involved in that effort as well.
Indeed. Thank you for that, Sharon. And one of the incredible things that we as Black alums just want to keep a steady eye on is what leadership of universities is looking like, from a Black community perspective. And we think about, PWI specifically, and all of the extra steps that are required for a Black woman or a Black man to be a president of a PWI. There are just some extra steps culturally and politically, that we know have been the undercurrent of higher education broadly. And so to have, a leader, who brings, the academic influence that Dr. Jonathan Holloway brings is just so inspirational. And so we always look to Rutgers and your incredible work in the great state of New Jersey to help uplift this conversation around the country. So thank you, Sharon. We'll go to Nisa and then Randy. Tell us a little bit about the relationship between your Black Alumni Council at the College of Charleston and the Office of the President, who we just heard from. And thank you so much for making that happen, Nisa.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining today. I bring you greetings from Charleston, South Carolina, and the College of Charleston and President Shew. We have a really good relationship with the college in all. We are considered, the Black Alumni Council is considered an affinity group under the Alumni Association at the college. So they handle all of our administrative, logistical issues, very cooperative relationship. Our President Shew is amazing. Any new initiative, help that our students need, help in the community, he has been very forthcoming and accommodating and making sure that every student and alumni that has a relationship with the College of Charleston feels welcomed, feels important, and makes them feel like he wants to address any issues and concerns that they have. Thank you.
Take myself off mute. Randy, can you tell us what that looks like? I know that the president of the University of South Carolina is relatively new. So if you can give us maybe the historical overview of what it's looked like to create that relationship between the council and the Office of the President.
Sure. As We worked with our past president, President Pastides, and we're working with our current president, President Michael Armades. What we're doing is trying to establish the importance of having that presence at the university that includes engaging our alumni, engaging our students, current students. As our flagship university, as the flagship university for South Carolina, we realize the importance for our university to look like the state that we support. So we have primarily, I would say, 24-25% African-American population for the South Carolina. And so we are striving hard to have South Carolina, or the University of South Carolina, reflect that population. And we're doing that through mentoring, through scholarship, and through just engaging Black alumni. And so one thing that we do have that I'm very proud of is the Richard T. Greener Scholarship, which of course gives funding to African-American students that would help them to attend the University of South Carolina, and that is a 4-year scholarship. So it's things like that that will help strengthen, and I believe that the university realizes the value of what we do as a Black Alumni Council and are working with us to accomplish those goals.
Excellent. Now, I heard that we have a very special guest who has just been able to join. Bruce Alexander, you saw him, kind of live and in person, doing a brilliant job with facilitating the conversation among university presidents. Not only was he the facilitator, you guys, he was the person who really was the architect in bringing together these phenomenal leaders. I think we've got Bruce on the call now. Bruce, can you hear us? Let's see. I think, and we're working with technology. Thank you for your patience. Bruce, can you hear us? We'll sort of wait to see if we can hear from you. I see we've got you on, but feel free to just say hello as soon as you can. I know that our session moderators are working behind the scenes to make sure we can hear from you and a little bit of your incredible wisdom and sort of your account on what it takes to drive this phenomenal relationship. So we'll give Bruce a couple minutes. He'll need to unmute his phone just to make sure we can hear from him. Bruce, can you hear us?
I think you guys should be able to hear me now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear. Hey,
first of all, want to thank all of you that are out there on that listening audience for taking time from your busy Saturdays to be a part of this leadership forum. Okay, this is all about us helping us. Okay, each one reach one, making sure that we get the right messages to all of our listening audiences to make sure that our Black alumni are the best that they can be, especially as leaders across the campuses and across the world. Okay, you got a chance to hear from the presidents of 3 universities and their take on what they need from Black alumni in the area of recruiting and retention, the world of scholarship and anything associated with that kind of giving. You also heard from them talking about things that were really important in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when we look at how we as Black alum can really assist those presidents and those leaders, it's really important that we take advantage of that. Okay, there are so many talented people across the midst of Black alumni, and us gathering the presidents of various alumni organizations. And I was able to listen to some of the comments that were happening while we were still having some technical difficulties, but this is what this forum is all about. It's about us learning to be better leaders in our respective arenas around the country. Okay, and you're hearing from some of the best and brightest, and that's what we plan to bring you throughout the symposium. So, like I said, the things that I got to experience as a founding president of a fledgling organization is that, number one, they need us. they don't know the things that we know about bringing Black alumni together. And as Tony mentioned, we had the toughest thing that we had to do was to bring people back that didn't want to come back. I mean, when you're talking about disliking a place, many of you loved your schools and had a great time there. We didn't have that at Citadel. And I will tell you that, you know, it was a real challenge just to get some of those really bright people to come back and be a part of what we were doing. So once we got them to understand that it wasn't about them anymore, it's about those students. And everything that we do is about those students following in our footsteps. And each of you will understand that if you had somebody like us, if you had an organization like us to turn to when you were in school, how much better you would have been and how much further along you would have been. As far as your success as a professional, things that you just didn't realize what you were learning, it is one of the greatest things that you can ever do is to be a part of one of these organizations for your respective institutions. So, like I said, I'm really excited to be here, excited to be a part of this, and looking forward to the dialogue that we have virtually and what we have in person. So those of you that hadn't signed up to come in person, we hope that we see you there. And once again, like I said, that's what this is all about.
Hey, listen, leave it to Bruce Alexander to join by phone and completely drop the mic on all of us. So thank you, Bruce Alexander. We do have a question in the chat, so I'm going to pose that question to all of you who are on the panel today. The relationship between your Black alumni group with the governing board of your institutions. So not just the alumni associations, like you think about the trustees, right? What does the relationship look like between your Black alumni group and leaders and the governing board, the trustees of your various institutions? I know Randy, Tony, Qui Juan, Sharon, and Nisa have a lot to say about this. Is there anybody who wants to dive in first?
Allyson, I'll go first. One of the things that I appreciate so much about RAAA is that it's not just the board leaders of RAAA that are involved. It is also the membership that are involved in sitting on boards for the Rutgers University Alumni Association. We are fortunate this year to actually have an RAAA member that is a board of trustee for Rutgers University. And so being able to really tap into not just the amazing work that our, president and vice president and leaders are doing, but also that there's representation from the alumni membership who are out there talking about the work that we're doing, talking about BAC 2024, and preparing and gaining excitement in the membership. So sometimes it's when you have an alumni association that values all of their members. One of the things that we're extremely proud of is this year we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Hall of Fame, where alumni are inducted into our own Hall of Fame. So there are leaders, 20 years worth of leaders who have been recognized in their community, in the corporate sector, and leadership roles that we can tap into, that become part of a bigger family. So when we need somebody else to be at those tables, it doesn't necessarily always have to fall in the hands of the current leadership who is doing a phenomenal job.
No, that's right, Sharon. And I kind of want to add the experience that we had last year at Duke University for the folks who came. You know that we had two honorary co-chairs, Derek Penn and Lisa Borders, who are both very active, with the governing board and the Umbrella Alumni Association. As a matter of fact, Lisa Borders does sit on the board of trustees. And so that direct line of communication, from Duke Black alumni to the office of the president, is priceless. And that's the kind of relationship that fosters really good experiences for Black alumni and Black students as well. More importantly, it sets the stage for what leadership at that institution should look like and ought to look like for the coming years. Qui Juan, Nisa, Randy, or Tony, do either of you want to jump in? I see Randy's off mute, so is Qui Juan. Jump in.
I will go ahead and weigh in if
Okay.
you can. So as I stated early in my introduction, I'm the past chair of the Black Alumni Council, and each year we sit in on the board of governors meeting, and there the events and the activities that we do throughout the year are highlighted, and we receive accolation based on some of the things that we have done as far as mentoring, as far as networking, and again, the scholarship. So that recognition is given, and our board is aware of what we're doing. Can we all do a better job? Yes, but they are aware of what we're doing. The president, the office of the president is aware of what we're doing, and we are funded through the Alumni Association in order so that we can do the things to provide support for our students. So there's definitely support, realizing the value that we as Black alumni bring to the table in supporting the initiatives at the University of South Carolina.
Nice. Thank you, Randy. Tony or Bruce, did you want to hop in?
Okay, I'll hop in. I'm gonna ask Bruce to maybe close the gap for me at the end, Bruce. But from my perspective, with our board of visitors, we have our relationship is not as solid as it is with the school administration. At the present time, to my knowledge, we don't have any Blacks on our board of visitors. Most of them are appointed by the governor, but we are having an impact on the school, and they know what we do because I do have a relationship with a couple of board of visitors members because they're at our events. They're talking to us, they're seeing what we're doing with these cadets. So it's there, but it's not, to my knowledge, been formalized as of yet. So we still have work to do. We have work to do within the structure of how our alumni association is structured with the school, and we're plugging on. The more we get alums engaged, the more we make a bigger impact on the students on campus, the more we have a voice at that point in time. Right now, our voice is getting larger by the year. So we still have work to do. Bruce, you want to add anything that I may have missed because you've been involved a little longer than I have?
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The one thing that we are really working at is to make sure that we have a voice across the entire campus. Okay. We do not have a relationship necessarily as strong as it should be with our alumni association, our big alumni. They have actually tried to neutralize us by developing an affinity committee within their alumni organization to address minority issues. That committee has done absolutely nothing for our school, okay? The things that we established there and the credibility that we established all came from dealing with various leadership echelons across the campus. We now have an African-American in a leadership role in all of our major schools now. When we had zero when we started 6 years ago. We had no representation other than maybe someone that may have been selected to be on the board, but they were not in the leadership roles that we have in our major schools. The School of Humanities, School of Engineering, School of Business. We now have alumni that are truly leaders in those organizations. You mentioned the Board of Visitors. We do have a Black member, Tony, on the Board of Visitors. And he is, if it weren't for us, he would be neutralized for all practical purposes. And he's extremely happy that we have our organization. He has been a vocal part of what we're doing, and he knows that we're there to support him as well. Our Board of Visitors sort of run the school, for those of you that don't know, at the Citadel. But the thing that we found is that the school itself needed our outside thought processes, okay? They didn't need someone to come in and be lapdogs. They didn't need someone to come in and be yes men. They don't need adversaries either, okay? You cannot be in an adversarial role. But there are things that you have to be able to say, hey, President, you're not wearing any clothes. Okay, Mr. Emperor, you're not wearing any clothes on this one. You need to go in this direction if you want to truly be inclusive of all the students that are here. And what we found is the same things that we want as Black alum, as Black students, the other students that are also the brown and minority. I hate using that word. Anyone that knows me know that I hate using that word, but our diverse students that are out there, they need to see people that look like them coming back to the campus. And as long as we continue to make those moves and we continue to have that exchange, we're always going to be a powerful factor. I mean, we now have an annual event during Black History Month that basically culminates with a huge reception at the president's house. I had never been to the president's house in my entire time of being an alum or a student while I was at the Citadel. So it took 35 years for me to get back to even go there to visit. And it's not just me, but there were others. There may have been a handful that went there. Now we go there in droves. So, you know, those are the kinds of things that we have to make happen. We can't stand by and let it happen. We got to make it happen. So that's why we're having these symposiums. That's why we're having these discussions. Because if it's not happening at your campus, I will tell you that we've got a lot of work to do. All right.
And I just want to weigh in. It's always hard to follow, Bruce, but just to your point, being intentional about being present or having a seat at the table. So we definitely focus on succession planning with our Black alumni, even with the alumni board overall, making sure that we're involved on that level. The immediate past president or chair of the overall alumni board at AU was the first Black president of the alumni board, Dr. Jonathan Mathis, and then to be followed by the first Black woman president this year, Latanya Southern. She'll actually be in Charleston, so it'll be really exciting for her to experience this and be able to implement some of the things that are learned on our university. But just having that direct line of connection and communication with the president and being intentional about that and having that representation on the alumni board level, in addition to the Black Alumni Alliance that we have. We had a president's dinner where we highlighted the transition of roles, and it was amazing to see because at every table there were at least 2 or 3 Black people, and that was kind of big for AU. I'm like, you see that our work is as alumni is cultivating and continuing to grow as we continue to put the work in. So just being intentional about that work and having those key alum in place for representation. And on the Board of Trustees level, we have a heavy hitter that advocates for us day in and day out, Dr. Gerald Bruce Lee. I know you had some communication with him, Allyson, so he's a strong advocate for anything Black on AU. So he's definitely a great way that we advocate for our students, et cetera.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Now, I do see a couple questions that are in the chat. I don't know if the chat function is working, but I do see some questions. It's in the Q&A section. So if you want to click on Q&A, if you can put your questions there, I can see them immediately, and I'll be happy to offer them to our esteemed panelists. So this question, and Deborah, thank you so much for dialing in. Hope you're doing well. When it comes to engaging Black alums to be active in your respective alumni associations, what has that glide path looked like? You know, when we start this work, we may have 2 people around the table. You know, if we're a powerhouse like AU, you know, we'll have dozens of people around the table. So what does it look like to grow this work of engagement from A to B? And what's the role of your university president in growing that work? Anybody want to dive in?
Allyson, I'll start us off. For the College of Charleston, it has been a difficult path. We were founded in 1770. We were not integrated till 1967. The thing with our administration and our president, he is very intentional on making our alumni association and our campus exclusive, and inclusive. We have African-American members on our board of trustees, on our foundation board, in major roles in our alumni association. And he always preaches inclusivity, making sure that everybody is represented. For our alumni, because of the history of the institution and the history of Charleston, there's still very many of the older alumni that are reluctant to be involved, to give back, just because of the experiences that they have had while they were at the college or in the city of Charleston. But as the BAC president, I try to always emphasize to them in every conversation, in every event, you are where you are today because of this foundation and the initial degree you received at the College of Charleston. Put aside what your experience may have been to help those that are coming behind you. I focus very big and very heavily on our mentorship program, not only on the institution, but in the community as well, because Charleston has a very rich history, and it's our history, and we need to be a part of that and how it all moves forward. Thank you.
Now, thank you, Nisa. Does anybody else want to chime in? If not, we can pivot to our next question. When it comes to orienting leaders, Black alumni leaders specifically, so that they understand their role, more importantly, their voice, how do you empower them? And what is the connection to your university president as you orient them to this particular leadership role? So A, how do you empower them? And B, how do you make sure that the direct line to the president is indeed an efficient one that can be used in order to promote a positive experience for Black alumni and students? Anybody want to dive in?
I'll say a few words on that, Allyson. I think the key thing from my standpoint is the introductions to the administration leaders. When I assumed my president was president of the CA4, Bruce introduced me to General Walters. I knew of him, but didn't know him personally. But through that, we've passed the baton from Bruce to me. I have the baton, I'm running with it. I have that rapport with General Walters and his staff, his XO and the provost, because of that relationship. And it's not taken for granted, but it does well when he can call me and tell me a situation to get ahead of things so we'll know what it is. And I could in turn inform the CA4 leaders of situations on campus that they need to know about. And also we can, from our perspective, we can give them I think as Bruce said earlier, we can tell them how we think about things, not just how they see things. That's the important part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need everybody's input. And so with that introduction, maintaining that rapport, relationship, and understanding our limitations. Understand, sometimes it's an appeal. Sometimes it's, you got to do this. It just depends upon the situation. But the key thing is the sincere introductions, building relationships, and having that president understand that and introduce you to his subordinate key leaders. So when I go from him to the provost, I can get the answers I need without having to go back to the president. I can go to someone else. I can go to the commandant and have a discussion about discipline without having to go to the president, because we've got that rapport, we have that relationship, and we have that respect for what we do for the institution.
Understood. And Tony, we do have a follow-up question for you, but I wanted to say that Derek Penn is on the line. He says hello and keep up the great work to everybody. Derek is a phenomenal leader, of course, as you all know, at Duke University. And so we thank him for his incredible leadership. This next question comes from our good friend, Kelly Whitaker, representing Clemson University, and I think Clark Atlanta as well, Kelly, if I'm not mistaken. Just an incredible leader in this higher education space. And so Kelly's question is around sort of the composition of CA4, Tony, and what that looks like. I think, and maybe you can do a really great job at helping us to understand what the composition looks like. Is it external? Is it internal? And does that pose any challenges in how you collaborate with the Office of the President and other university leaders? And I think Bruce is on well, so if either of you want to tackle it, that would be great.
Okay. We are the CA4. We are all members of the Citadel Alumni Association. when we began a few years ago, the word amongst the alumni was that we were a splinter group. We want to be different. But the CA4, we're all members of the Citadel Alumni Association. That's a criteria. So we are not a separate group. However, we are a private group. We don't talk for the Alumni Association. We don't speak for the school. We speak for the CA4, this group of individuals. So we develop our own relationships. As Bruce mentioned, our Alumni Association tried to neutralize us, but we've grown since then. We've gotten stronger since then. And so it's important to know that from our structure, we have to deal with the limitations we have, but they're very, very effective. Okay, Bruce, you want to add on to that?
One of the things that really has always been our mantra was, we are not a separate and distinct organization, with the exception of the things that we address. Okay, we address Black issues that are happening around the campus, on the campus, outside of the campus. One of the things that happened when, and to be perfectly honest with you, our alumni organization came to us, they came to me and said, we don't have participation in Black alumni within the organization. Okay, two of the presidents of the Alumni Association, and they basically appealed to me to say, hey, we need some representation. We had no Blacks on our alumni board at the time. No one on the leadership, no one involved with the alumni, and they didn't know how to bring us in. Well, one of the things that they needed to understand is, you cannot continue the way that you're operating and still have people just all of a sudden beat down the door to be a part of you. Okay, so we had to. It was two fronts that we were managing. Number one, we were working on our organization, making sure that we had the right chemistry of people and in the right places and positions. They were talking about the different organizations. We're set up as having a president, vice president, director of operations, director of planning, director of recruiting and retention. We have a director of scholarships. We have a director of finance and director of communications. All of those had to be in place before we could start stepping out and helping others. So we had to make sure that our organization was solid and that we had backups to each of those that were in that leadership position as part of our ability to not have any areas of failure, any points of failure. So once we set ourselves up, then we could take our show on the road to the alumni organization and tell them things that they needed to do. Those two presidents that approached me made us a what they call a board of director position that was contingent upon their own regime. Okay, it was only going to be there for their term, but they did not make it permanent, which is what they promised me that they were going to do. We were going to have a permanent seat there on the board. Well, as it turns out, it works out better for us not to be on the board, because then now we'd have to do the things that they want us to do versus what we want to do and what's necessary to do. So we found that was part of the problem. And then again, it was a saving grace that we were not tied into their structure. So now we can operate independently. We don't get funding from them, so we have to make our own funding, and we focus our funding around raising money for scholarships and putting money towards things that the nonprofit stuff that we need to make sure that people, their money is going towards something other than just administrative. So us not being a part of them, the only thing that really slowed us down on was finances, and we found that we just didn't need their finances. So we could operate and have those direct conversations across the campus. Otherwise, we got to ask them every time we want to talk to somebody. If we want to have a meeting with the president, we had to go to the President of the Alumni Association and say, Mother, may I speak to the president? So once again, they're not that we were trying to be rebellious, we weren't, but them not voting us into the organization was God's way of saying, you got more work to do. and you don't need to be bridled in the work that you do. So, like I said, our organization has continued to make lemonade out of lemons. When we thought that somebody was going to shut us down, you cannot be stopped. That's something that they taught us at the school, and they hate that they taught us that, but we cannot be stopped in doing anything that we do.
And with that, Bruce Alexander has brought our session to a close. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A special thanks to all of our panelists, Qui Juan Jones from American University, Sharon from Rutgers, Randy from the University of South Carolina, Tony and Bruce from the Citadel. Really appreciate you all leading this work. We're now gonna go into our break. We do want to get started promptly at 11:20. I think somebody's going to be queuing up some music. I'm going to go ahead and queue up some images of South Carolina trailblazers. This is the first time we've got 3 schools in one state collaborating. And so what we want to do is just really help celebrate and lift up the path of those who have gone before us. And so many thanks to everyone who has submitted photos. If you attended a school, a university or college in the state of South Carolina, we would love to share your legacy photos. So feel free to email those to me and we'll make sure to incorporate them. With that, we're going to head on into our break and we'll see everyone at 11:20. If we want to cue up the music, we can certainly do that. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.